You know what I want to talk about is this Harland Williams thing, because I thought that was very funny.
Yeah.
So Rogan, as we've talked about before, I think Joe Rogan is has a good interview style that I like and respect a lot. I think he's given a lot of comedians a platform. There's a lot of things I respect about Joe Rogan. One thing that has always puzzled me is his inability to go along with a joke. And he did not seem particularly playful in this Harland Williams interview. So when I saw that Harland Williams was on the Joe Rogan Experience, I said, I wonder how that dynamic's going to go. Because Harland is very silly. He's always doing bits.
Mm-hmm.
He's been on Kill Tony a couple times recently. By the way, we're in a Harland Williams renaissance of sorts.
Kind of.
He was like, he's been a comedian for many years, but you've seen him pop up in a bunch of movies like Something About Mary and Dumb and Dumber and all these. And then you didn't really hear his name a ton for a while. And because of podcasting, both his own and going on others like Kill Tony, Harland Williams is just around a lot more now. And he's very funny. Like, I really enjoy Harland Williams. I can't tell. So Joe Rogan is in on this joke, I think. And I want to give him credit for something, because I saw podcast Cringe cover this and say this just completely went over Joe's head. I have a different analysis of it. But I know Harland Williams is always doing bits, and it seems like maybe this is very real. Maybe it's a real medical condition. But he brings this up on the Joe Rogan Experience recently.
Do you mind if I just dip into... I brought a little something. I have to do it about every 20 minutes. I do apologize.
What is it?
Here's the genius of Harland Williams. This is 20 minutes and 6 seconds into the interview. Like, he had this timed.
I have an eating thing I have to do.
Really?
Well, if you don't mind.
No, not at all. No.
Thank you. Oh, God.
Old Ernest Joe.
He seems so genuine there.
Oh, please, by all means. Of course you have an eating thing you have to do on my podcast. Go ahead.
That's why he said every 20 minutes. Like if he said every hour, he'd be like, well, this podcast is 3 hours. So it would still, it wouldn't be that big of a deal.
Every 20 minutes.
Dang.
I'm a little embarrassed. But I have a tapeworm.
For real?
Yeah. It's about almost 4 feet. Have you ever had one?
You really do?
Yeah.
I never know with you, I don't know if it's bad or something.
He's skeptical. You got to give him that. He's skeptical.
He goes, I don't know if I should feel bad or start mocking you.
Ever. I don't even want to bring it up.
I feel bad if it's true. You have a real tapeworm?
I do.
How'd you get it, do you think?
I was in the Galapagos Islands recently, and they have a rodent over there called the Bermuda eel rat, and it's not a documented species. It's the local jargon.
Very, very smart of Harlan to throw in. That species does not exist. By all accounts, it appears that doesn't exist.
He should have found a place that actually has tapeworms and said he was there.
It's not documented.
Well, because I think he shit his pants a little and looked to his right because Jamie's immediate with the searches.
Yeah. Very smart, though. It's not documented.
He continues.
And so they eat it over there. And I ate the damn thing, and I got a parasite that led to a tapeworm. And she's about a 4-footer.
What do they do to get it out?
Well, they have pills. But this is, I don't even know if I should talk about this, but it's a little odd. I sort of got attached to the little fella.
Oh, you like having it now?
Well, we hear all this talk about, women and men can have babies. They're telling men they can have children.
So you got a little baby tapeworm.
He knows how to appeal to Rogan, too. Just out of nowhere, he's like, all this talk about these trans people. Rogan's like, all right.
I have something living inside me, and I sort of like it. I sort of like, sometimes I can feel it moving around. Sometimes I'll put a piece of cheese in the bed at night and it'll come out and I feel like I have a tail. And so what I have to do is
By the way, the visual, have you ever seen those fake like Shane and Rogan videos that they splice it to make it look like a different conversation.
Sure.
This looks like that, but it's the real thing.
Yeah, Rogan like that. So here's the thing: is I think Rogan is playing the straight man a little bit, but you see him get more annoyed as this goes on. Where I'm like, how is this a comedy legend of sorts is in front of you doing something ridiculous? Play along, little Joe. You know,
I feel like Joe Rogan is not in on this at all.
he seems angry.
His face is telling me he's not in on this.
But there's a couple instances where I'm like, oh, maybe he's being funny with it. Like Joe's trying to be the straight man. But then there's other times because Joe's so desperately. This is why it's weird that like Joe's a comedian and hangs out at the Comedy Store and the Mothership and all that, and has such a love for comedy. Because when there's any sort of funny conversation going around, Joe's like, okay, let's get back to World War II or whatever we were discussing.
Well, Sal Vulcano was just on Rogan. I don't know if you listened to
I
it.
did, yes.
So I don't know if you caught the part where Sal was talking about a chimpanzee on ice skates biting a lady's leg. And
Okay.
Joe's like, oh my God. And Sal saw it when he was 8 years old.
Yep.
And Rogan goes, did they find it? Did they like put the monkey down? And he goes, yeah, I had my ear to the ground and still nothing came across my desk.
Sal had a few of those that were pretty good. Nothing came across my desk is funny.
Yeah. And Rogan, but his response to that is like, okay. Like,
yeah. There was like they were talking about bears or something, and Rogan says black bear or brown bear, and Sal goes, well, I don't see color in that way, but I'm just gonna it was very funny because he did it so quickly and kept moving.
Yeah.
But like Rogan, there's not an ounce, there's not a titter, there's not a tee-hee, not even a ha.
No, it's a history lesson on bears actually right after that comment.
It's a very serious conversation. That's what's so interesting. So the bit that we're getting into that Harlan does here, I have such a respect for guys like Harland Williams. I mean, this is what Norm was amazing at, is the commitment, never allowing anyone, even when people are certain you are kidding, never allowing them to fully believe it because you're like, well, he would have admitted it eventually, right?
He puts a piece of cheese on his bed and it comes out at night.
I have to eat
Celery.
Well, what it does, it reacts to the vibration of sound, and celery's kind of got the best kind of crunch, and it kind of settles the guy down.
Okay.
I just need
He's not in on this.
Rogan is thoroughly annoyed. I take it back. I don't know what I was hearing the first time.
Well, if you're gonna laugh, you have to do this about every 20 minutes.
For the tapeworm.
Yeah, settles him down.
Such an intensely loud food.
No, I just mean
Rogan's just like, I think he was laughing at first. As we'll see, I think it's just like, all right, guy.
Rivaled by maybe only potato chips.
I don't even know about that.
I don't know if they're like he picked possibly the best food to accompany this bit.
It's definitely the funniest looking. We continue.
but I like Dimitri.
Yeah, but you can't keep a baby inside you forever. The whole idea is the baby gets born and then it goes out.
Hold on, Dr. Spock. These suckers can go up to 30 feet long. Mine's a 4-footer.
Can they really get that big? How do they know how big yours is? What is it, an MRI?
It's so loud.
Well, we did an ultrasound.
And they can see the tapeworm
You can
inside
see
of
it.
Do you got a picture?
So you know what I think you were buying into?
What?
Rogan was not in on it. He's realizing this bit is not ending, and he was like, I guess I'll play the straight man for now.
Maybe that's eventually what I was seeing. But there are times, as we'll get to, there's times where he does get genuinely annoyed, where I'm like, that's what's fascinating about Rogan. And like I said, I have a lot of respect for the man and what he's done for comedy. But because of his role in comedy, why have Harland Williams on if you want to have a serious conversation?
That's right.
You know what I mean? Like he was on Are You Garbage recently as well, Harland Williams. And this is the brilliance of a guy like this is his commitment to it, like I said, because he's telling this story. He talked about going to the Galapagos, which I believe he did go because he had pictures or something. And then he started telling about, he says he travels with these puppets. He says he has these, he has names for them. There's friends and all these things. And they go, okay, well, obviously you're fucking around with us. And then he doesn't say anything. He reaches in and grabs a picture and it's like silent for a second. And you hear like them laughing because they think it's a bit. And then it gets kind of quiet and they go, all right, he's got the dolls. And it's just Harlan's dolls like looking up at Big Ben in England or something.
He also, pre-pandemic, did a special in the middle of a desert to nobody.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah.
You don't hear him get credit for that because I always hear like people mention Maria Bamford's
Right.
to her parents. I hear about that a lot.
It
I don't know if I've ever heard of that.
It was on Netflix. I forget if he was on the side of a mountain or in a desert, but I think it was a desert, and there was no audience. He was just telling jokes to a desert.
And he's the type of guy that I think not everyone could get away with that.
Yeah, I don't think he
know?
did though, because you didn't even hear about it.
That's true. Yeah.
Do you have a picture of that?
I don't have a picture handy
How do you not have a picture on your phone of that?
of my kid, of little Dimitri.
Yeah. Seems like he'd be really sad if you didn't have a picture of him.
I got to bring one in. When I come back next week, I'll bring one in.
Oh, so this is another bit that Rogan never addressed. I at least I didn't catch it. I don't think he ever acknowledged it. That Harland Williams, he says that a couple times. Like later in the episode, he goes, well, that's why it's good that I'm going to be in here twice a month to cover things like this. He keeps vying for a bi-weekly spot.
He's trying to get Rogan to just be like, "You're not coming back." But you just labeled this one distracting.
It's thoroughly distracting.
Hair.
Not only that, those worms, those aquatic worms, trick grasshoppers into drowning themselves so they could be born. What are you doing, man? Don't do
No,
that.
the pulp.
I know, but don't just grab it and put it on
I
the
know,
table.
but it was. I
And
felt like I
someone's
was chewing
gotta clean
cud. Well, I put it on the other celery.
that. Okay.
I would never put cud on your
Just stop
table.
with the celery, please.
Well,
Yeah, he is annoyed, right? Unless he's great at playing the straight man.
What if he is, and like this whole time we've just missed it?
So that's my thing is like the reason I'm leaving that door open because I'm not. It's not like Rogan's. I've seen news radio. I don't know how great an actor he is. He must have some sense of humor to this because why would you have Harland Williams on? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, oh, Harland Williams is doing a wacky bit when I'm trying to talk about fucking tapeworms in a serious fashion.
Joe's probably like, "Can we just Google tapeworms and like see what they do?"
That is what they wanted. What he wanted to do.
Well, the Matrix must be real.
well, hold on. I got this examined. I have a lot of friends in the science community. I know a bunch of Scientologists, and I had them analyze this. Pigeon flew out. Here,
I'm good.
this is a feather from a great auk. Do you know what that is? It's an extinct species of bird from South America. Please.
That's okay. Just put it down.
Well, I think you'd like to touch it.
Nope. I'm good.
So how does it?
Why is he so annoyed with him?
I don't know.
I will say, so the reason I thought it was like maybe Joe playing the straight man is because I feel like this is the energy that would be between, like if I met Hackride in real life. I think this would kind of be the energy where he's constantly doing bits. And I'm like, yeah, no, I got it.
This is David Bowie's guitar pick. Touch it, Mike.
I'm okay, man. But yeah, I'm so glad that Harland Williams did that because you don't see people mess with Rogan in that way, and like there should be more of it,
Yeah.
Like he's a great platform for comedians, but here's the thing: is like you can't have comedians on and expect them to seriously talk about bears and if we were living in a simulation and doing TMT because some comedians will be into that and have interesting thoughts on it, and some won't. Like. If you're doing interviews like that, you kind of got to play to people's strengths sometimes. So I'm glad Harlan was like, oh, well, I'm not changing for Joe Rogan. I'm not going to all of a sudden be very serious.
Did you listen to the whole episode?
I did. Yeah, I've listened to a lot of Harland Williams lately because I also listened to he had Mark Normand on,
Mhm.
and they told a lot of good Norm stories. He was good buddies with Norm, so I found that very interesting.
Did he eventually just get serious about his career at all, or is it that the whole time?
I mean, they have serious discussions, and Harlan brings up a lot of interesting topics, and that's what's interesting. Like I said about the Are You Garbage episode that he did. There's some things where you call him out, and you're like, "Oh, it's a bit," and he has like evidence that it actually happened. And you're like, okay. Because like he was talking about being homeschooled and going to boarding school, and they didn't know what to make of it. They didn't know what was real.
Yeah, I know scientists, Scientologists.
Yeah.
I know we brought up Sal real quick. Did you see his special?
I did.
What'd you think?
Pretty much what I expected. Like for his first special, pretty good. There's instances that I thought were very funny, and then sometimes I thought they kind of carried on too long, or I knew where they were going, and stuff like that. But like,
Way too long in some
yeah.
spots.
But like, it was pretty much exactly what I expected. You know,
Because I think he's excellent on podcasts. He makes me laugh a lot on them. Just
Yeah.
his dumb sayings and stuff.
yeah.
And I feel like that was not really in the special.
No, there was a little bit of that, but like I said, there's some things that made me laugh very hard, and then they just ended up carrying on too long. But like, that's the first thing he's ever put out on his own, so
Right.
I'm not judging it too harshly. You know?
Right. Yeah, I thought he seemed. I know he was talking about basically being drugged by Ari before the show with his like caffeine.
Oh yes,
capsule.
yeah. I heard him
So-
say that.
I'm glad he said that because I was like, he's way high energy for what I thought he would be.
Yeah, well, he said he didn't even use the first
Right.
show.
It's not even a second.
Yeah. But yeah, Harlan Williams is very funny. I think worth checking out any of the appearances he's made on podcasts. He's a very funny guy.
Yes, he is.
But just the loud crunch. He picked the perfect food to crunch into the microphone.
When he pulled it out of his bag and it had all the stems and leaves on it still, it was.
I'm not sure it even fully comes across because you have our mics on here and everything. Like, if you listen to the podcast with headphones on, it's so loud into the headphones.
It's so loud. I don't think Rogan appreciated it very much. I really don't.
No, there were instances where I thought maybe he's playing the straight man, but it didn't seem that way.
I think he was trying, but he realized it just wasn't ending.
Yeah. And then there is like an hour and change in, you hear him eating celery again. And it's never addressed.
That's how you defeat him.
Yeah. All right.